wants to know is why is it that we cannot express ourselves in, for example, in painting, in music, and other things?
No, this is not self-defense. Is that what you want to know?
Self-expression. Self-expression.
Aha, self-expression is the thing, yes. Islam is not against self-expression at all. Who told you it, Islam is?
I want to know Islam's opinion on this.
Okay.
In terms of
Yes.
expression.
Violent expression. Again, this violence I just don't understand.
Because Ahmadis are being persecuted. And
See?
he said,
You are completely off the mark. When I said, as I understood your question and I explained it, was I right?
yes.
That is what you wanted to know? So don't interfere, please. Please sit down. Yes. He wants to know why Ahmadis do not exercise their right of self-defense if they have a right of self-defense. If not, where is it written in the Holy Quran that you are not permitted to defend yourselves rightfully? Right? Am I right? Good. The fact is that Islam does not prevent you from exercising your right of self-defense at all anywhere. Yet Islam requires you to exercise patience for a good cause. Particularly in religious persecutions, the threshold for retaliation is set very high by Islam. Not because Islam wants to deprive people of their right, but because Islam wants to gain the objective of their lives and prefers this to the physical sacrifice. For instance, in the early days of Islam, up to the year 13th, when Hijrah took place, the Muslims were very severely persecuted, yet they were not permitted to defend themselves, and that was the wisest course for them to take, because it was that persecution, in fact, which hollowed the whole opposition against them. And within all the people who had some humanity left in them, they began to sympathize with the Islamic cause. And they began to believe that they are true and they are honest. Otherwise, they could not have offered such sacrifice with such perseverance. This is why after the Fateh Makkah, despite the fact that no sword was applied at all to change their religion, and they were given quarters by Islam at the moment of that great victory, not only one quarter, but in every form, so many quarters were offered to them. There was no threat whatsoever to anybody's personal life except for the 4 people who had exceeded in transgression so much that they were not forgiven. Later on, some of them were also forgiven. But the point I'm making is, no sword was applied to change the religion of the Meccans, yet they accepted Islam. Why? Because they had started moving in the direction of Islam from the very first persecution. And the patience pays you much more than retaliation. So when a general is planning to gain a territory, the ultimate goal is to win. The final victory is the most important thing. So in that process, sometimes he has to exercise patience, sometimes they have to retreat for a while, despite the fact that every time they have a right to kill. So to kill is not the purpose of life, particularly in Islam. Or to defend bodily is not the purpose either. The purpose is to spread Islam. And in whichever way Islam's cause is served in this direction, that way would be adopted by the Muslims. This is the teaching we receive from the Holy Quran as well as from the practice of Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet the Islam very clearly says that if transgression is exercised against you and you cannot tolerate, you have every right to defend. It is not forbidden to Ahmadis either. If the Ahmadis are wronged in any matter, they have right from the Quranic point of view as well as from the country's laws point of view to defend themselves. But they don't, because they know if they began to defend, there are many reasons why they don't. Number one, so far I have not permitted them to let themselves go. And it is their own judgment as well. They understand the philosophy behind it. They know if they take their revenge personally and individually, the Ahmadis all over Pakistan would suffer much more because they are weak. If in some places they are strong enough, in many other places, out of all proportion to some places, they are much weaker. So once you begin to take your revenge imprudently, you suffer the more for it. That is something which everybody knows. Yet every Ahmadi is hurt so deeply that now they have reached a stage that they want to suffer. It is not because of that prudence that now they are acting like this. Originally they understood the thing, but now they're fed up with all this nonsense. And they want my permission to let them go, but I won't. I know that. Why? Because the second reason is much more important to me. And that is, this persecution is winning us many more hearts than spoken preaching by the word of mouth could ever have achieved for us. Vast number of non-Ahmadis are being more and more convinced that they are right and they are honest and they are true. And despite the fact that such severe measures are taken against Ahmadis, legally as well as otherwise, the process of the spread of Ahmadiyyat has not come to a stop at all. In some places, it has hastened. And comparatively, go on making comparisons. Comparatively, in some cities and towns, we are gaining more rapidly than ever before. So there are two factors which are very important to us. The general sentiment of the masses is changing in our direction. Number two, they are getting fed up of their mullah. And most often than not, they begin to hate them, and they know they are hollow people, they are inhuman, they are attributing atrocities towards Islam and to the holiest of the Prophet. So their inner conscience is rising against their own mullahs. So this is such a big advantage that even if thousands of Ahmadis are slaughtered, this advantage is worth it. And they would not care as long as they gain in the direction of ultimate victory. I mean, they move in the direction of the ultimate victory. And this is exactly what they are doing. So Islam wants us to behave prudently. Islam tells us that if anybody is wrong, he has every right to take his revenge. But man afa wa aslaha fa ajruhu alallah. If anybody decides to forgive, he is permitted to forgive. It is not that you must take your revenge. Revenge you can take, but you're also permitted to forgive under one condition, which is also laid down in this verse. فَمَنْ أَفَا وَأَصْلَحَ